Hey Alana, as you could tell by how I look, I am sick. My mother brought home this really terrible cold and gave it to me. So, that's not fun, but the good thing is my class I had to go to today is also a TV class, so I could just watch it on TV later. So my teacher was excited because I emailed him and I was like, I'm really sick, and he was like, well, it's a good thing you can watch us on TV and not get lost and be stuck behind. So that made me really happy because I have like the most awesome professors this semester. I'm actually getting ready to do a bunch of homework. I'm such a nerd. I'm sick, but I'm still like, must do homework! But then again, like, this is one of my textbooks. Do you know how much I love this class? That this is one of my textbooks and he wrote it? Like, best professor ever. And I got this for $5. $5! And it's in like perfect condition. One of my other textbooks for this class is this one, because he mocks, well, he doesn't really mock, but he challenges Christianity, which I think is kind of awesome. And it comes with a CD. And I got it for like $16, and it's worth like $30. So that made me really happy. And then this is for my archaeology class, which is tomorrow. And then I have math to do, but math's really easy, so I'm gonna start off this video because we got more questions from a viewer about the Mandy Stevens video that she sent us. So, which I think are really valid questions to be asked. The Alchemist sent them to us, and so I'm gonna answer those first and then continue on with sort of other things in life. Alright, so the first question I got asked was, if you were squeezing an attacker and he was crying and vomiting, would you continue squeezing? I think this is what Mandy meant when she asked, do you think she went too far? Does this cross the line from justified force or excessive force? I think it's a bit of a fine line, because I think that maybe it was a bit excessive, just because she already had him relatively incapacitated, but at the same time, with all of that adrenaline flowing through her body and being so terrified, and knowing that if she didn't completely incapacitate this person, that she probably she wouldn't have been able to get away. Because, I mean, yeah, she had injured him, but he probably would have recovered a lot faster had she not crushed his testicles. Weirdly enough, I woke up vomiting in pain this morning. My IBS was not nice to me this morning by any means at all. I literally was walking hunched over, like, screaming. Which is also a reason why I didn't go to class this morning, because I was in so much pain that I could barely move. Then I took my Bentyl. I love Bentyl. It's like, anyone with IBS, you know when I say Bentyl, you're like, oh my god, it's the greatest thing in the world. And then I slept for like 3 hours because it knocked you out. But yeah, I feel like in a way it's kind of justified, because then it assured her that she was safe and she could get away. But I do think that maybe there might have been a less like violent way that she could have incapacitated him. This is a really good question because it really makes you think, and I would really like to thank the Alchemist 1111. It's like 1111. There's 4 ones. For sending us these extra questions, because I think they are pretty valid, and they do make you think a little bit more on this topic. I mean, I'm sort of in between them being justified and excessive. I think that, yes, it was kind of justified, but I think that maybe it did go a little far, but I wouldn't say that it was, like, excessive. Number 2, I know you can't sympathize with his crime, but you can sympathize with the amount of pain he must have, but can you sympathize with the amount of pain he must have endured? Yes, because that was the amount of pain I was in this morning. It was a lot of pain. I can imagine it being a lot of pain, but then again, there's a scientific study that says that women have a higher threshold for pain than men do, so, which is why there are worse and more injuries in women's sports than there are in men's, because women, they did a study that in women's brains, the trigger for pain, there's like a lapse in it, so we can be injured and not even know it for a really long time, unless it's a pretty severe injury, and even then it's not going to hurt us as much as it does a man, because in a man's brain the trigger for pain is hypersensitive. I thought that was really interesting. But I don't necessarily feel bad for him, but at the same time, that is a lot of pain to go through. And I can relate to it, but I don't really sympathize. Especially because, like, something like that happening to us isn't going to hurt as bad because of that pain trigger. We push something the size of this out of ourselves. It's a little, yeah. I study forensic anthropology, and if you've ever seen a female pelvis compared to a male pelvis, you understand why we have that high threshold for pain. Anyway, number 3, could a kick or knee to the groin ever do as much damage as her squeeze did? Is there one self-defense move that would work in all situations? Yes, it could do as much damage. Easily do as much damage. Basically because it could do more damage. Because the physics of it is that the swinging force from your knee or your leg or a kick is going to generate more, pounds of force per second than squeezing would. Especially because there are more upward force motions that are more involved in your leg, especially because your leg is far larger than your hand. There are a few self-defense moves that would work in all situations, but it would have involved her having to maneuver a lot more. And in the situation she was in, her being pinned down, going for his balls is the best option, because her hands are not free, and like Alana said, trying to struggle to get away to distract him and then kneeing him would have been the best. Unless she could have found a way to maybe rock him forward over her and then incapacitate him, because if there's a judo move and it's also a jiu-jitsu move, if she could have found a way to flip him over and grab his arm as she flipped him over, laying it across his body, so she has his hand up here and his shoulder resting on her hips, she could have thrust her hips upward while pulling her shoulders backward and broken his arm in 3 places. That would have also incapacitated him without him losing his balls. But I do feel like in that situation, her brain found his weapon, which he was trying to rape her, and so therefore his weapon was his penis, and took it out. And so, she went through a logical process, because she went for something that she knew would immediately incapacitate him. Had he been coming at her from behind, or had they been in a different position, there are a lot of other ways to have incapacitated him. If he wasn't holding her down like that, she could have reached for something and knocked him out. But then again, knocking someone out increases the risk of actually killing them, which I don't think was her intention at all. Which is one of those movie discrepancies that I hate. When you knock someone out, you're actually causing a small hemorrhage in their brain. And if it's not checked soon enough, they will die within a matter of, hours. Which is why when they knock people out in movies and they wake up, days later, that's impossible. They would have been dead. Their brain would have completely filled with blood, it would have been encephalitis, and they would have died. Especially because, depending on how hard you hit them, you could crack several different plates in their skull, which are extremely necessary to human survival. The occipital bone, temporal, parietal, any of those. And so her intention obviously was not to kill him. If she could have reached something heavy and blunt, she could have ended up murdering this man. And so this way he lived and he's serving time. And he could this way he could learn from it and maybe do good from it and go around talking to people and telling them his story, and so they learn and they don't make the same mistakes he did. So I feel like the way she went about it was a smart way to go about it. Yes, it was violent, but it was a smart way to go about it. And then again, violence begots violence. So, at least she didn't kill him. So there was that. And that shows some human compassion. So, thank you, thealchemist1111. I don't know how to say the ones in your so man. But thank you for sending us that and those questions, and I'm sure Alana will also want to answer them. I'm sure she will be itching to answer these when she watches my video. She's gonna be like, want to answer. So thank you. They're extremely valid questions, and I really appreciate you sending them to me. And I also think Mandy will appreciate them, and will probably add them to the questions she sends out to people to answer. So you are awesome for sending us those. Do not forget to be awesome. In other news, wow, this is a really long video. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. Because this is like 10 minutes. Okay. Bye, Alana!